Hello.
Hi. Well, I know it's been a week odd or something, but this is truly a mail call. So here we are doing mail call stuff. What was that?
I don't know. Yeah, we're doing mail call stuff.
Yeah, we are doing mail call stuff. Sorry, it's I've been waiting for like a clear spot. It's like all the trucks have been coming and going, and then the garbage trucks came and went, and it's just been loud. And there's some kind of police situation down the street.
Yeah, it looks like a bicyclist got hit. So, yeah,
Hey, see, there's another truck.
the grocery truck.
That was the grocery truck. One of the strangest changes I never anticipated ever coming from, the last 3 years, with COVID and all that other kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
I hate grocery shopping so much. It's like one of my least favorite things ever. And he'd always be like, "Why do you hate it?" It's like, it's so boring. People get in my way. I have to compare prices, blah, blah, blah. And then because of COVID, it's like I could just shop online and other people do it for me.
It's true. Yeah, and it's it's a hard habit to give up. I'll tell you that. It's a hard habit to give up. I remember the last time I went shopping, I was like, I'm really ready to be done with this now.
See, I told you. And he used to be like, "Why don't you like it?"
You think about food and the dinner you're gonna make and stuff like that.
I don't like
but
cooking. It's boring.
Maybe it was more of a pre-internet thing. I mean, because we had to make our own entertainment.
But there was the internet in 2019.
Was there?
Yeah.
Amazing. Let's look at what's on our wrists. Well, honey,
I was going to grab something different, but this was wound. I'm sorry for being boring, everyone.
but it's such a nice watch.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think they like to see other things.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? That's a great watch, and I'm very proud of the job I did building that out of a mix of different parts. Some genuine, some aftermarket, things like that. Movements original, which is the main thing. And I am still wearing the Marine Master. It's been on my wrist, I think, for 6 or 7 weeks now. I love this watch. I love it. I'm really having a good time wearing it, and every time my eye catches my wrist, I just appreciate it. I love the bracelet. It's one of these things that Seiko made the choice that I never would have made. I would have only ever been able to have imagined an end link that was, even with the case there. Seiko put a bracelet on there that looks like it goes to a different watch almost, but it works. I just love it. I think it's just great. Okay, well let's do this thing.
Biff Tannen BTTF. I want to move to Boulder so badly. It's my goal for next year. Okay.
Well, Boulder is there. I always like the thing they do in Boulder that I like. They did this at CU, is they do the whole like red terracotta roof thing on a lot of their buildings, and I think it's really pretty. And they use also a lot of red slab sandstone, which is kind of a Colorado architectural kind of thing. Because there's
Architectural? Yes, that's the right word.
I believe so, or masonry.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to call it. So it's these beautiful, thick, very even slabs of red sandstone, and it's sort of a signature look for around here, and I think that's really pretty cool.
Johnny Tent Peg. A totally wacky husband and wife review, and I freaking love it. About guys, you've made my day. All the best from Lancashire UK. PS just subbed. What were we doing?
I have no idea. We're so boring. Such dull people. This is the most exciting that we are. Pretty much right now. So if we're your speed, we're absolutely happy to have you on board.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yes. Watching brief 7072. I have a 754-87010 from Japan. Tremendous piece. Turtle goodness, heavy duty jeweled quartz accuracy, and of course, early Supreme Seiko pedigree. It has been referred to as the Brian May, the lead guitarist of Queen, was purported to have worn one for decades. So glad I stayed up to the wee hours to win the Yahoo auction.
Yeah, no, they're fantastic watches. World beaters. I mean, when Seiko made them, they put everything they could into them. Their casework is exquisite. Their design is really, really nice. They're pleasant to look at. They're eminently functional, very dependable. They will run for a very long time. They're an all metal train. Sebastian decided in the middle of the night last night to set up a scavenger hunt for me.
I have given you a little hunt. P.S. They're all in the garage, Seb.
So yeah, they were like, he took like the frame thing off the wall and my Volkswagen taillight. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, 7548s. They're just talk about value for money. They're just unbeatable, and I recommend, anybody who's thinking about a Seiko collection, keep one eye on 7548 divers, because they're really cool, or 7546 sport divers, the silver waves. They had a number of the 7546s, and those are some really super cool mid-size, sort of lowish, like sort of a dress skin diver thing. They had a bunch of different models for it. It's so hard to go wrong with that particular period that Seiko was cranking out stuff. It's with Sua, with like the 77, 78. They're still just doing great stuff. On the other part of the question, yes, I believe he still wears a 7548. It's, being that he's in UK, probably it was a 7000B, but I don't know where he bought it. So it's got the midnight blue dial and chapter ring, and a Pepsi bezel insert. But otherwise, it's identical to every other 7548.
Tunnel Rat 6666. I was wishing you were going to service it, as I was thinking of giving it a go. What is happening?
Oh, I'm sorry. He made this gentleman was talking about a watch I did probably an evaluation on of MAC-V SOG.
Why is this in the... You never put that this was a new video.
Oh, you're right. I didn't put the title of the new video up. I'm so sorry.
Well, what are we learning about?
We are learning about a MAC-V SOG 6119 8100. Is that right? It's the Vietnam MAC-V SOG with the Arabic numeral dials with the fully loomed with green loom, though sometimes brown, but usually green.
I was wishing you were going to service it, as I was thinking of giving it a go. I have one and the bezel has no play. The one I have is original, as it was my father's, has never been opened. I know this because they came out in 68 and my father was killed in 69.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Then it lived in my mother's jewelry box until I got it. But in the short time he had it, he sure did scratch the glass so bad you cannot even see the date. Even that it's been sitting most of its life in a box. Sadly, it stops all the time, and the day dial is stuck. Fast date change does not work. I do not trust the fools. I have servicing watches near me. Been stung by them before. Never again.
Yeah, this I actually emailed with this gentleman after this comment that he made, and he sent me pictures of it, and the watch is it's in pretty rough condition. It's got the correct base metal plated case. Looks like the dial came off of it at some point. There was only the hour hand was left, and that was like cranked like this, so it was bent with where the loom window was. But the markers on the dial, they looked okay. So I had the gentleman boxed up as securely as he could, and we're going to get it here, and I'm going to look at it. I'd love to know, firstly, I'm sorry to hear about your father. If you have any information on him, I'd love to hear about that. If you know any of his history, that's a really great thing to document and keep with the watch, which of course you were going to do. There's just not a lot of data on these, and so any like really serious data point like this where we have one that was issued, then that shines a whole new light on stuff, and if you have any of this information, it could be helpful, and it would serve to continue his memory with keeping this information alive. Anyway, but thank you for writing, and I look forward to seeing that watch.
Styan Monk Vold 8552. Why don't you show when you put the movement together?
Pete, I used to actually do full reassemblies, and you can see on my older videos I do that, and it is neat. I liked for people to be able to see it when I, got it all back together, and then I drop the balance, and then you start seeing the balance go back and forth. That's a neat moment. But I found that it was distracting me from filming that section of reassembly was distracting me from doing the best job that I could. And the person whose watch it is, I owe them 100% of my focus at that exact critical time. So these days I focus entirely on the rebuild and not on the movie making. I apologize, that's just kind of the way it's worked out.
Joseph Stewart, hey SNS, question for next mail call. I've been spending the last little scanning the internet looking for my next 7A blank 8 to add to my 7A collection. Safe to say it's my current favorite vintage range, and to me it goes great guns, Aussie slang, next to my 7548. There seems to be a lot of 7A blank 8s for sale online with subdials that don't function, but the timekeeping works fine. I know that the hands on these styles seize up with old oils, and after a good service, these can get back to running like new. But is there anything more nefarious I should keep in mind when taking a chance of one of these before pulling the trigger? Lots of love from the Aussie Bush.
I agree with you. They're great. They're just great movements. For those of you who aren't too familiar with that, Seiko invented the analog quartz chronograph. So a chronograph that was powered by quartz movement, and it wasn't digital. It was hands. And Seiko did that with the 7A blank 7A X8 movement series. And they're wildly over-engineered. They have 15 jewels and all metal bushings, totally metal series of 4 separate gear trains, 4 coils. It was the first watch with fly-by-wire control. They're really just amazing watches, and they don't wear out. What'll kill one dead is a battery leak, but worse is water. If water gets in through any of the buttons in any significant amount, it wicks into the movement because the button is sitting against the clicker lever on the inside of the movement. And that clicker lever is basically exposed on the main plate. It just sort of rotates on a little post that's there. But it has a beautiful, nicely contained space that with surface tension will pull in water, and it rusts like crazy. And if the water keeps coming in, it's just going to keep going into the movements, and just rust is just disastrous for one of these. For a few reasons. One, it rusts, but 2, metallic, iron oxide is still magnetic, and you start having pieces of rust flaking off into the movement. Well, it gets pulled to the stepper motors, which are little teeny tiny, incredibly strong motors, little magnet thingities. And so the absolute only way, there's no way to get those clean, period, without, you have to do it by hand in order to get those clean. Water inside a 7A is just deadly. Battery leak, they can be very, very bad, and I've certainly seen them kill, they tend to kill circuits more than water. With water, you just get rust staining on the circuit, which you can generally clean off. Battery acid will corrode all the copper lines and eat through the membrane of the plastic of the circuit, and it'll just kill it dead. So it's my usual rules. You look at the overall condition of the watch, gauge how careful the owner was. But then, even if it's like scratch crystal or something else like that, it hasn't been restored, you look through that crystal and you look for the clean dial with the bright printing and good clean white lume, including in the hands. Because Seiko lume is salt-based, it reacts to moisture. So it's kind of like a, hey, water got in alarm when you look at that. So if you look through dirty old scratch crystal and you see pure, beautiful white lume on the dial and hands, you know that the chances are very, 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 very good that the movement inside is going to be great. So that's the way to do it. As for, yeah, they tend to, when the lubrication on those dry up, one or the other of the two side subregisters, one is the 1/10 subregister, the other one is the minute counter subregister, pardon me, and they just kind of get stuck, and you have to go through a service to free those up. Once they get kind of gummy, it's just the way it is.
For sale, Seiko Severe 6139 6021 Jewel JDM speed timer. Lester loves watches. There are even some February 69 watches of this model. Amazing to think that Seiko were already selling complete working watches in February, March 69 when the other companies in the race for the first automatic chronograph was still scrambling around trying to put together prototypes.
I know, it is amazing. I've heard, and I don't know if this is true, they started to produce them obviously very, very early on. But I remember reading a really, really long time ago that they actually didn't start retailing them until June. I have no idea if that's correct. Maybe I've got the date wrong, but that they produced them for a number of months before they officially released them so that they could have them in stores all around the world. But I have no idea. Does anybody know anything about that? Because I don't know if my memory's right or wrong on that one at all.
SBDX017 Marine Master Hawaiian Beach Find. Chuck Schilling videos. I was thoroughly impressed by how beautifully finished that movement was, especially for a professional dive watch in a top-loading case where the movement is basically never exposed to the owner.
Yeah, it is nice. I mean, Seiko, they put extra love into this and it shows. This watch is accurate to a few seconds a day, but the movements on them really are lovely. They're pretty, and Seiko did put their back into them, and it's nice to know that that little piece of, technological beauty is inside this case.
4NG Seiko H558 5009 Arnie evaluation. Ants fur. Nice watch, good video. The LCD paper reflector looks as if it is missing.
I wanted to say, I think you were 100% correct. I don't know. I was looking at it when it was blanked out. Like, it looked like the whole LCD was bled, but it wasn't as dark as it would be if it were bled, but it would look like that if the paper was gone. I have replacement papers, but I'd be real surprised if you were not correct.
I have the same watch, bought it new in 1985 and wore it every day until 2012 and did many dive with this watch, about 1,000, and never leaked whilst diving. I had a battery change once in 2001 or 2002, and the watchmaker unfortunately put an oversized O-ring in and became out of place when tightening the case back, and when I went for a swim in the sea, the watch steamed up, which was a great shame and eventually corroded the watch hands and hour wheel. I sorted it out and it still works okay today. Great watch, always gave me a good luck underwater.
Oof, you pinch the case back seal. That's just a killer. That's just like a dagger in the heart, you got to take that extra step, that extra time. And I'm always terrified that I'm not taking that extra step, but I'm sorry for your watch. I'm glad you still have it. I'm glad you're still chugging around with it. I have another one. If you're looking to have a brace of them, I've got one for sale on the website, kleinvintagewatch.com, on the watches for sale. If somebody's looking for an Arnie, we've got one.
Carlos Paggi. Excellent stuff. I have 3 of these and I'm accumulating bits and bobs to one day get them all sorted along with 100 plus other projects. Haha. Picked up some vital knowledge here today, and those VTA movement holders look like a must-have. Could you tell me if you've used the flat black gasket under the crystal, please?
I'm sorry, let me see that.
I think we went in another direction.
Oh, yes. You asked if I reused the crystal gasket, the L-profile crystal gasket. Yes, Seiko's directives on the L profile gaskets, they're made of Viton. So Seiko says in writing in the servicing guide, you're supposed to pull those things out, rinse them in alcohol, allow them to air dry, lightly grease with silicone grease. Yes, yes, yes. Seiko says it in writing. You're supposed to grease that seal, because I could sense piece of some of the older gentlemen from the old forum getting fired up and ready to fire back a response on that one. It says so in the Seiko servicing guide, and then it can go right back in. The only time they say to get rid of it is if it is physically damaged, because that compromises the sealing surface.
Neil Singupta. So glad you both enjoyed Andor. I've watched it twice now, and it is absolutely brilliant in every way. See.
How's the aftermath? I mean, are you still feeling it, Mr. Krabs?
Yes, I am still feeling it. I'm very happy that we watched the second season before rewatching the first, because there was so much I missed in the first season that I didn't get at all, and I'm glad that basically I saw the ending before I rewatched the whole thing.
Yeah, so that's what we did. We watched the first season of it, and then we watched the entire second season of it. Then we went back immediately and started the first season over again and watched the whole series all the way through. And doing it that way, there was so much stuff in the first season that we picked up, that I picked up, that I just had completely missed before. There were a lot of nuances that I had just passed me by entirely. It was, if you're interested in Star Wars and stuff like that, it is absolutely worth the watch. It's also a standalone thing. I don't think you have to be a Star Wars fan to be able to get through it. The characterizations are great. The characters are living 3D people. They're fully fleshed out. And no single character is reduced to a singular quality. They're all complex and multi-motivational. Tony Gilroy, the director, did just a great job, and the sum total of all of it is it's just, I mean, a huge, beautiful expansion of the canon lore of Star Wars, that not only added to the whole body, as in just of itself, it enhanced other parts of Star Wars. It made Rogue One better. It made A New Hope better. Mm-hmm. It's like there was a piece that was missing, and that piece has now been put there. That's what it feels like to me.
Mm-hmm. I concur.
Yep. Okay. Was that it?
That was it.
Okay. Well, that's it. Folks, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you very, very much, and we will talk to you next week. Mm-hmm. Bye.
Bye.